Okay, it's time to put this chair back together. It's been tightened up, clean, waxed, and as you can see, there's the holes for the screws. The question then becomes, how do you line them up so the screws find their holes and don't cause you any problems? Well, a little trick for you that might help. This might be a little hard to see. I'll set the camera up right here. But if you put an awl through the hole and then lift up on the seat, you can see where your hole is. Put it in, and then you have your awl holding your place. And go to an opposite corner, lift up, peer in here, find your screw hole. And there, you're lined up, ready to go. Hope that helps. Well, these chairs have been an absolute pleasure to work on. There is nothing seriously wrong with any of the three that I've done. The family that had this set since 1964, wherever they are, you took excellent care of your furniture. It's clean, it's tight, it wasn't abused. It's just an absolute pleasure to work on something like this, and just to be a part of the chain from the original family to the next family is important to me. So ma'am, wherever you are, you did a great job. I finally do have something I can show you, and we're missing one of these little buttons here. Whenever there's armchairs, there's usually two buttons on the inside of a joint, and then at the other joint there's two buttons there, and they conceal the screws that hold the armchair arms onto what would have just been a side chair. You can see inside there's the screw. I've tightened that down. I checked both arms are tight. If they weren't, you can pop these out. Usually what you do is just take a putty knife and a hammer and just lightly tap on it. You want to break the light glue seal if there's one there, or it might just be the finish that's holding it in, and they'll pop right out. If they break, it's not the end of the world. They sell these. They're either 1/2 inch or 3/8. These are 1/2 inch. I have a 1/2 inch hardwood one here that will fit right in there, but first I have to color it. So I'll get some walnut dye stain, because that dries really quickly, and touch this up so it matches the other one, and then we'll pound it in. I'll bring you back when I'm done. You don't need to see me coloring that little dot. And there's some extra dark walnut dye stain and a quick coat of shellac on the top of that button, and it looks just about exactly like the other one. So we'll get them back on. When I put these back on, I do very, very, very little bit of glue. That way they can come back off if you need them, and then just tap them in so they're flat. So we'll get these in, and we'll keep going, get the armchair cleaned up. on chair 6, and we finally came to a joint that needs some attention. If you can see this one here, it's very, very loose, and it's very loose on the other side. I unscrewed the 2 screws that go into the back of the chair, and that should all come off as one unit. If you look in here, you can see that someone's tried to force glue in there in the past, and obviously it didn't work. So we're going to have to try to get this entire chair back parted, taken apart from the rest of the chair frame. Once we get it apart, we can then clean it and re-glue it and clamp it properly. So we'll get you set up and see if we can get this taken care of. That's a good spot for you. Three dowels is the joint. It's coming apart good so far. Yeah. There we go. There is nothing worse than that cracking sound when you're taking apart a joint. It will give brave men pause. Hey, another real good tip for you whenever you reassemble a joint like this, just take a second and grab these dowels with a pair of pliers. And you're not trying to hork on them, but just make sure they're not loose on the other side. Because if you spend all that time gluing them in and they're loose on the other side, your joint's going to fail. And these are all tight. They have some dried glue on the tops of them from the last glue up, and I'm going to do my best to get that off. But the last thing I want to do is split this dowel. I got plenty of good glue surface here on the sides, and if we have a little problem with the top having some glue on it, that's okay. We're much better off than if we split these dowels or split this mortise, even worse. Alright, this is ready to get glued back up and put back together. And here they are. It took about probably a total of 4 hours. We had 4 chairs that needed to be disassembled and have the back assembly glued back to the frame. We had one pretty significant chip repair that we used hard fill with, and then we had some color work, not a lot. I left a little bit of signs of wear intentionally, for example, at the ends of the arms of the armchair. And that's exactly age appropriate. There's no reason to cover that up. So we have 2 more that are in clamps, and we'll take those out of clamps tomorrow, put the seats back on them when the chairs are done. So next step in this project is the china cabinet. We'll get started on that tomorrow.